So in a sense, you can say that the so-called fivefold human needs that he outlines can be summed up. And these five needs as human being can be summed up as the characteristic of freedom in the case of human being. When we become self-aware, we know that we are different from others. We know that we are separate, yet we cannot bear that separateness. We cannot bear that loneliness. We have to be related to other species, to be related to humanity at large, to be related to nature. So we are in a conflict. That is the human situation. So in that sense, we become, when we become sufficiently self-aware, we know that we have freedom. We know that we are responsible for ourselves. In fact, we know also that we are not only responsible for ourselves, but we are responsible for all others, for society as well. Now, this kind of awareness of freedom had to wait, in the case of Western civilization, until the age of the Renaissance, the age of Reformation. So it's a very relatively modern awareness, but it's very interesting to notice that in the Buddha's teaching, we are already taught that we are endowed with the human freedom. We can make choices. That's why we need to struggle spiritually. On the one hand, of course, we are determined by karma, we are determined by physical laws, we are determined by moral laws. On the other hand, we make moral choices at each and every time. And the choices we make determine our fate. So Buddhism teaches that we are creator of our own fate. Also, when you look at the Buddha teaching, for instance, last week I talked about the Noble Eightfold Path. You see that it's a path that provides you answers, if you like. Maybe it's not quite a good way to say it like that. At least provides a means for you to find answers. To the need for relatedness. The Eric Fromm and his modern thinkers and the age of Reformation, Renaissance, these periods, in this period the thinkers are trying to tell us, but the Buddha, more than 2,000 or 2,500 years ago, had taught us in, for instance, the Noble Eightfold Path. If you look at each and every step, you will see that it provides you a means to find solution to your need as human being in terms of relatedness. The stress and the instruction for you to exercise your freedom in such a way that you are fulfilling the need for self-responsibility, and also in such a way that in your solution to self-responsibility, you also become responsible for humanity at large. I told you last week, for instance, the teaching of even the so-called moral ethics, morality or ethics, and particularly clear in the teaching of, for instance, Samavacha, for instance, communication. This is about human relationship actually. And Samajiva, this is about how your life must be lived in such a way as to be responsible to society, to humanity at large, and so on. So, coming back to Eric Fromm, he recognizes that because human being has this unique awareness of the self and becomes alienated from nature as an individual, then he needs to find his true identity, his true individuality, and he becomes aware that he has freedom to do that. He has freedom to do so. Now, in certain religions, this aspect of the true nature of human freedom is suppressed, is denied. For instance, in an authoritarian theistic religion, let's take for instance Catholicism or Christianity, you have a God, you have the supreme authority. There's no question of freedom. God gives you your faith, gives you your life and your future. All you can do is to obey God. There's no freedom in a personal sense, even if you have what is called political freedom. The freedom Eric Fromm is talking about is personal freedom through human freedom, and this is also what Buddhism talks about. So although there are these laws, moral laws, physical laws, biological laws, recognized in Buddhism, emphasized in Buddhism, but at the same time Buddhism teaches that you choose to make use of these laws for your own betterment in relation to the betterment of the whole of humanity. And in doing this, you find true solution to the human need of freedom. So the fivefold human needs can be summarized as the need to face, to work out how to make use of this fundamental human personal freedom. The first human need enumerated by Eric Fromm, the relatedness, that is a statement of recognition that we are aware of our separateness from each other and we seek to overcome it. But as I said, Eric Fromm has pointed out that we can do it positively or negatively. Positively speaking, actually, this is expression of love. You can relate to others through love, love in the broadest sense. And negatively, you can, in a neurotic manner, you can try to fulfill this need by dominating others. That's how you relate. By suppressing others, right? By conquering others, even by destroying others. So for each and every one of these fivefold human needs, he talks about the positive way in terms of solution, and also the negative way. In fact, Buddhism also teaches in a very, very similar way. So anyway, the first point that he makes is that we all have this sense of the need of relatedness. We simply need to be related because we have felt intrinsically that we are separated. And we have felt that because we are sufficiently aware, we have self-awareness, that gives us advantages as well as problem of a very serious nature. Did someone come to help me to keep this? I should have. It's very annoying. So as I said, negatively, he says we can seek to even try to eliminate this self-isolation by submitting ourselves to others, by obedience, for instance. In some religion is encouraged, like Christianity, by submitting oneself to a group, and by submitting oneself to God. So in that sense, you feel related in a fundamental sense. But these are, from every point from a view, negative, neurotic way of trying to find solution to this need. Positively, you can summarize by saying that actually it is, the solution is to develop true love, universal love, for your fellow being and for a whole of humanity. So in Buddhism, this is very, very much emphasized, that why do we want to develop karuna, compassion? Now, using Eric Fromm's wording, we would say that this is to find solution to the need to relate in a fundamental way, through compassion, karuna, relate to the whole of humanity. Not only humanity, in Buddhism, the whole of sentiency, the whole domain of sentient beings. And this whole domain means, to use a Buddhism, 3,000, 10,000 spheres of existence, all form existences. So we saw that a fundamental vow of the Buddhist path is that however innumerable sentient beings are, I vow to cross them over. And the Vajrasattva Sutta teaches us how do you tame your mind? How do you subdue your mind? How do you transcend conditioning and be truly free in your mental arising? Then in answer, the Buddha says, however innumerable sentient beings are, I vow to lead them all into Mahaparinirvana, although in reality no one is led into Nirvana. That's the answer. So this is the teaching, this is the recognition of the human need to relate, and in the most fundamental, the most thorough way, through compassion. Eric Fromm and others cannot go so far as this, because their concern is only with the human society. And what is more, there's no perspective of samsaric existence. But this is quite different in the case of Buddhism, because Buddhism is completely thoroughgoing, and precisely because of this, it is therefore, you can see, it is Buddhism that can provide the most thorough solution to the need of human relatedness, that is through compassion. And then this need, this fulfillment, this solution to the need through compassion is based on wisdom. And to gain wisdom, that is wisdom as insight into reality of yourself and of humanity and of true nature, can only be achieved through your individual enlightenment. And For that, you must develop your individuality. So in this way, the Buddha's teaching of wisdom and compassion actually already thoroughly elaborates on the teaching, the doctrines of these humanist psychologists. Actually, when you look at Eric Fromm's explanation of these fivefold human needs, you can see that all these needs are together, if you like. That's why he's able to summarize them with one single statement, that it is the need to face your freedom, or it's a need actually to find meaning of existence. Just that in some among these five, this point is more explicitly, more clearly emphasized. In other of these five, other aspects of the need come to be underscored, highlighted, but the five are together. If you look after one of them, you look after all the others. If you find true solution to one of them, you find true solution to all the others. For instance, relatedness, and the second, creativity and transcendence, the need to transcend yourself as passive beings. It's also the need to relate to others. And also the need of what is called, another need is called rootedness. It's also the need, you can see, of overcoming this separateness. And that also means the need of relatedness. So in this way, all these five are related. And then the third one is that the need for a sense of self-identity. This is the need to develop the individuality. I also talk a lot about it. Just now I said that in Buddhism, ultimately the motive for the so-called good or wholesome human behavior is rooted in compassion, rooted in karuna, and that cannot be separated from wisdom. And wisdom is the completion of the individuality, or the insight that is gained by you in your as an individual. So first you must find individuality. And when you can find that, you find solution to the sense of your separateness. So from expresses this by saying that there is a fundamental need of the sense of self-identity. This is actually a sense of individuality, and actually he says that this is also related to the fundamental feature of human freedom, the feeling of human freedom. When we are free, when one is free, we often cannot face it and try to escape from it. There is a book written by him called Escape from Freedom. Another book called The Sane Society, I think. So he says that the need to have a sense of identity is the need to avoid insanity. The need to avoid insanity. You can therefore also say that the need for enlightenment in Buddhism, the need for universal enlightenment, the need for the realization of the Bodhisattva ideal of salvation of all sentient beings, actually is a need to overcome your own individual psychological problems. So, likewise, a frame of reference. You can see that these five, as I said, are together and they are connected. And all the five are fully amplified in the Buddha's teaching. So now I want to just spend a little bit more time to show you. I have already done that when I quote the example of the Noble Footpath, for instance, to show you how in the Buddha's teaching these modern psychologists, humanist psychologists' theories on the human needs are actually very concretely and in detail taught in Buddhism. And the advantage that in psychology is basically still remains as a theory, but in Buddhism is a theory plus practice. Last week I talked about metta bhavana because we happen to do metta bhavana. You see, now in this meditation, first you begin by understanding yourself. And you develop your self-awareness. I am a unique being. As a unique being, I have my unique needs and problems, my unique strengths and weaknesses. I need to be understood. I need to be forgiven. I need to be supported. I need to be helped. So I need to be kind to myself. I need to have metta to myself. And you begin with that. And then it goes on to teach you to expand yourself. Now this is transcendence, if you like. In fact, the whole of metta bhavana is a part of transcendence. You transcend you as a passive being. You become creative. By the way, when he talks about creativity, he gives examples of even producing children is the need for creativity. And of course, it doesn't mean that everybody has to be married. Well, how about the monks and others who are not married? But the need to be creator is definitely there. This is just one form. This is not necessarily the best form, by the way. I leave it for you to understand what I mean by that. The need to create, to be creative also can be fulfilled by being an artist. Through painting, through music, you create. When you create, you transcend yourself. You expand yourself. You fulfill that need. So this is the need for creativity as also expression of love, as I said, in the metta bhavana. And that is the most important, most positive form. When we, by the way, when we write books, when I talk about painting and so on, when we write books, when I now give talks, this is my creativity. This is my way of fulfilling my need, my personal need, right? To be creative, to go beyond myself, to share my ideas with others. That is why, to truly have a solution to relatedness, and you can see that is also connected with transcendence and creativity. We cannot just stop according to Buddhism. Now, you can see now also according to modern therapists, psychologists like Humanistic psychologists, you cannot just stop with caring for yourself. You must go beyond that. You begin to transcend. You have that need to transcend. So that's why I said we need to, that's why I emphasize that we don't just have the need to understand the Dhamma for ourselves only, or practice for ourselves only. We must dare, we must be brave enough to want to share this with all in our whole tradition. If you are Chinese, you feel that you have the responsibility. You should feel, not only feel, you must act on that feeling of the responsibility to promote, to glorify the Chinese Buddhist tradition. If you are, say, Sinhalese or Bengalis or Indian, you must feel that. If you stop at just your own need, then you have not found the true solution. In fact, it might even turn into a kind of neurosis. Venerable says that cultures are like religions. The main purpose of culture is to provide meaning of existence. Now, when a person cannot find the proper solution to his meaning of existence, then he turns to what Venerable called neurosis, as a kind of private religion. We become neurotic. We have human problems. We have depressions. That's why I said the other day, once you have started on the journey of trying to overcome your problem in the most fundamental way, thorough way, then you can't stop halfway. You have to work fully out. In terms of what I'm just saying, we have to share out the Dharma. We have to propagate Dharma. We have to feel the responsibility of strengthening, enriching, and even transforming our own cultural, religious heritage. That's the way I see my mission. It's not necessarily that I'm any great, but there's no halfway path for me. There shouldn't be a halfway path. If you set out, if you have this awareness, if you want to find your own sanity, then you have to work out all the way. And this includes the fulfillment of the responsibility, not only for yourself, but for your whole tradition, your whole species, ultimately the whole sentient, the whole realm of sentient beings.